Christ would. We're running out of time. There's not much time left. Good thing, if I didn't have faith, I would have thrown myself off the top of a building a long time ago.
Oh, my gosh.
If I really didn't know if I didn't know the history of our country, if George Washington were just, a cartoon figure like he is for most people, if Abraham Lincoln, if I didn't really know who Abraham Lincoln was, and I didn't know how the Republic came to be, and all the times that we had been in these kinds of jams, and how God played a role, I would just have no faith. I would have absolutely no faith.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said to me the other day, so why do you think Romney's going to win? I said, God. And they were like, yeah, I got that. But like, why do you think? And I said, God. Well, and I said, look, you got to go back to, I'm sorry, but you've got to go back to the times when people said in documents with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. I know that phrase. I believe that phrase. My only question is whether we have done enough to be on his side. God's never on man's side. He's never on anybody's side. He's always on man in the general sense. He's always on man's side. But he's on freedom's side. He's on the truth side. Now, have we restored enough truth in our own lives to be able to afford to ask him for that divine providence? Have we done that? That's the only thing that remains out there. And I keep going back to people like Ralph Reed and all the pastors and the preachers and look at what just happened with Billy Graham. Billy Graham took the cult status of the Mormons off of his website. Billy Graham. That is, a few years ago, Billy Graham didn't want to meet with me. Then we meet, and we have a heartfelt conversation about Christ. And he really questions me on it. Sounds to me like you understand Christ. Now, that wasn't an endorsement of my religion, but we had an open conversation about it. A good conversation. How many times in the last 6 months? In the last 6 months, I've corresponded with Billy or his daughters, just in, how's your dad? Hey, Dad was talking about you today. Things like that. It's bizarre. And then Mitt Romney comes in and meets with Billy Graham. And Billy Graham takes that off of his website. I'm sorry, but I think that's pretty miraculous. That's pretty miraculous to show how people have changed. I've had people in all faiths say, and Graham included, look, I don't agree with your faith, but it's time we come together, not to merge our faiths, but to stand together and to stand with him. This is what happened in the American Revolution. I can't tell you how many preachers and pastors and rabbis have said something's happening. God is absolutely involved. And we've never seen people of faith act like this before. I know I haven't. I've seen in 5 years, I've seen a massive change in people of faith. Massive. Now the question is that enough? I'm not God. I have no idea. Does he believe us this time? We don't have a good track record of saying, no, this time's going to be different, God. But there are millions crying out to him. Millions. We're going to have to pay for the mistakes of the past. He's not going to punish us. We punish ourselves. Our actions punish ourselves. You know, people will cry out, why don't we have enough food? Why can't I afford this? Because that's the choice we made as a society. You know, how many Americans now will listen and dismiss the warnings of inflation? Real, true, frightening inflation. And they will mock and ridicule anybody who says food storage. Well, God's not going to punish you for that. But your actions will punish you and your family down the line. And then they'll cry out, where is he talking about? He's been here the whole time. You can turn to him, and he'll help ease your heart, but it may not ease your pain. We got pain coming in front of us. How many Americans really, truly even understand that? That what's happened to us in the last 4 years is the beginning. Romney's not going to get in, and everything's going to be rosy. This is the beginning. And we're lucky, we're fortunate, because we will be the leaders of this next phase. If we hold true to our principles and our values, when Romney gets in, we can either watch his back, or if he decides to play more of the same with, the GOP in Washington, if that's who he turns out to be, then we have to do the Tea Party against him. Have to. If they're coming after him because he is doing the right things, we have to stand with him. One way or another, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we can't change. Because I do believe in the protection of divine providence. I do believe those words. Because we're talking about man's freedom. You can talk about democracy all you want. Democracy, God doesn't care about democracy. God cares about man's freedom. That's what he cares about. And while we're not perfect, we are the best that the world has to offer. We've screwed things up so royally, and we are becoming less and less free every day. But we are still the best in the world for freedom. We are also the only ones that truly understand where our rights come from. And a lot of our citizens don't understand that anymore. What is there that we're really willing to die for? My rights come from God, not from anyone else. What do you think that is, 20%? Maybe. The rest haven't been taught. They don't know.
Or they've forgotten because they have Romnesia.
Yeah. Which stage? Which stage is it?
Booyah. Stage 3.
Oh, that's just like other diseases.
Maybe even stage 4
oh
Romnesia.
My, that's more.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
They don't come back.
No, they don't.
Oh, man. Let's hope they don't.
That's the entire campaign of Barack Obama right now.
Yeah, Romnesia.
You could say, that sounds funny and idiotic, but that's exactly what he's doing. Someone's bringing up a really serious point, and then he goes, how about this one? Romnesia, cancer joke.
You might have Romnesia if you said that you like auto industry, and then you say it goes bankrupt. You might have Romnesia. Shut up. What kind of buffoonery is that? Who thought that was who sat around and said, hey, you know what you should do is that routine that comedy guy does, only at the end say Romnesia instead of here's your sign. I mean, how dumb is that? Is that really what we've come to in this country? It's pretty sad if it is.
When you think that only about 20% of this country really understands where their rights come from and are willing to really stand, in the end, really stand for them, and then you take that and you reduce that number, that's 20% of this country. Tell me Canada really understands rights come from God. Tell me Mexico
No way.
understand that. Tell me
No.
Russians, anybody else. This is it. This is a very, very small number of people that really, truly understand it. You can't tell me that those people, if they live righteously, will not find themselves under the blanket of divine protection. It doesn't mean that things are going to go well for you. It doesn't mean that your business is going to prosper. It doesn't mean that your family's not going to go through trouble. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. It just means in the end, you will be victorious. Remember, God usually defines the end differently than man does. But in the end, you are victorious. And that's all that matters. But it's a very small number of people, which makes the responsibility on our shoulders so profound. Because he will, as Bonhoeffer said, he's not going to hold you guiltless. You're going to be judged. And you know the truth. Sucks. I hate this. This is the part I hate about God. It's like, oh, but then why did you tell me? Have you ever had, like, we have Fast Sunday in our church? It was like this with Lent when I was growing up Catholic. And it was like, I'm having a chicken sandwich and I've got one bite in my mouth. And somebody would say, no, it's Friday. You're not supposed. And you'd be like, why did you tell me? Now I can't eat it. I could have been fine. You could have waited 10 minutes and told me after I ate. And I would have been like, oh, crap, I didn't know. Now I got it. Now I have to stop. That's the bad thing about God is once you know, oh, crap. Couldn't you tell me? There's parts of you that you're just like, I don't want to know. Please. But it's an honor to serve at this time. It's an honor.